I'm Pieter Ferreira, cellar master at Graham Beck, and we have our winery in Robertson in South Africa. I'm one of the fortunate winemakers that I've only had 2 jobs in the wine business. I started in 1984 when I joined the first specialist producer of Cap Classique in South Africa, Achim from Arnim, in Franschhoek, producing Pierre Jordan. So I always say I spent 7 mad years with him, but I ate, slept and drank bubbly. And then one day I had a courtesy call from my great friend and mentor, Jan Boerland. The real legend. Says, Peter, I've met a crazy guy on the other side of the mountain, and you're the only guy that can do this for him. And that was Graham Beck. The history is in the writing as we speak, really. We've now completed 30 years or 30 vintages. Champagne was my go-to, and I always sort of find my divine inspiration in champagne. So I've done four vintages in champagne. All roads lead through champagne for me. We had to find a name. So, you know, we thought we're from the Cape and we do the classic method, and yeah, Cap Classique was developed. So Cap refers to the Cape, and Classique, the traditional classic method. The vision of Graham Beck, wanting to be the best example of Cap Classique in South Africa that we can take into the international market, has been the driver for sure. I salute, just visionary. He was a whiskey drinker, he had no, but he knew he had to bring his horses to Robertson because of the natural limestone in the soil. And, he suddenly, okay, well, maybe it's also good for growing grapes. And that's just what Chardonnay and Pinot Noir wants. The passion just of the family, the philanthropy side, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. The way they look after their staff, their people. And Graham Beck taught me one thing very early when I joined him. He says, you can only be as good as the people you employ. My mantra in life is I'm in pursuit of the perfect bubble. And, I think Graham Beck has given me all the avenues and the foundations to really live. I live the brand. The story goes, Baron von Essen and Graham Beck met, and Graham then told him, listen, he's just bought a farm after the Laingsburg floods, and he's thinking of doing a little bit of, he says, there's only one guy you need to meet. He will put everything together for you, Jan Boerland. Graham Beck came back. He was introduced to Jan. Jan came here. That afternoon, Jan stopped in Franschhoek and said, listen, he's just met this incredible man, great vision, but he wants to do sparkling wine, and you're the only guy that can do it. And in walks this amazing man, it's like a statue of a man, beautifully tanned, looks like he's just come from the Caribbean. And we were introduced. He says, which one of you around the table here is the architect? So Johan Wessels put his hand up. He says, me, Mr. Beck. He says, you've got all the right people around me. Build me a cellar. And that was the brief. That is how I was introduced to Graham Beck. Bubbles is in my blood. Graham Beck taught me so many things as well, and that you can work hard and you should be playing hard as well. We're a very happy family. What I love of the Robertson area is there's a huge community feeling, although it's sort of real countryside. Yeah. And obviously we have a lifeline, the Breda River running through the valley. We also, over the years, have learned to sort of DNA profile Chardonnay and Pinot Noir from different geographical areas. Chardonnay from Robertson will give you lemons and limes. If you're looking for a little bit more ripe citrus, you're going to go to Stellenbosch. If you want the sort of bright, zesty brightness of acidity, You will most probably get that in Darling. So we understand that, what we get from Robertson. Again, it comes to three things: sunshine, natural limestone occurrence in the soil, it's the highest concentrations in the Western Cape, and then we have this huge diurnal shift. There's only one son, Robertson. I wish I had a preference, but anything with bubbles is a preference. Champagne will always be the benchmark. So it's always the go-to to try and understand that. And the Champagne is definitely, it's the chalky one, it's definitely much more mineral aromatics with bright acidity. The UK is quite similar to that in a way, because if you look at the soils and the White Cliffs of Dover, there's a huge stretch of the exact same chalk, limestone or chalk in the UK. Ageability depends how thirsty you are.
It's fine.
I think you have to, understand, the world of sparkling wine is divided into two groupings. It's very simple. It's called good Anglaise and good Française. The taste of the English and the taste of the French. The taste of the French is the vibrancy, the brightness, the real more primary aromatics. And the English palate loves more matured complexity, if I can put it that way. Much more the marmitey, tertiary aromatics. The greatest efforts of any good bottle of wine starts in the vineyard. I have no doubt in my mind. In such a way that after vintage, we will have 150 components. Now, if that's not attention to detail, I'll eat my hat. I think precision verticulture is the key to starting as close to 100% for the winemaker in the winery. There's like a golden thread if you do start looking into back vintages. If one looks at milestones, 1994 comes to mind for me. It was the year that Nelson Mandela was our first democratic elected president, and he celebrated with Graham Beck. That really has opened so many doors for the brand and respect in many ways. When we went into America for the first time in 2004, we sat down with the som, go through the wine, tell them the Mandela story, and when we started telling the Mandela story, he says, stop right there, I have the right clientele who would love the story. Who was it? February 2008, when he declared himself as Democrat. He went to celebrate at the Blackbird.
Yeah.
It's one of the restaurants.
Yeah.
And in walks Sam, the sommelier, with a tray of Graham Beck and says, please enjoy this. This wine was used at Nelson Mandela's inauguration. Sold. The one last thing besides the president's story, it's most probably to be recognized as the winemaker of the year. So Diners Club in 2004. It's just like a little feather in the cap, wow, finally, your wine's been recognized to be, Can't do it is just, it will forever be in our DNA. I don't think anything can bring us down, but the camaraderie, the spirit, we're never gonna lie down. And, my ultimate dream, most probably 20 years ago, I told Graham Beck, there's one thing I would still like to do is that we own a little piece of vineyard in Champagne and produce champagne. So he said, but your luck will come one day. So, I've been fortunate to have other opportunities elsewhere, but you know what? There's nothing like home. South Africa is the place. Because I'm Bubbles Ferreira.